Welcome to the Wildcast. Back again. Episode 14. Top 10 shooting guards in the NBA. We are back again. The previous episode was the comeback episode, right? We did top 10 point guards. And I looked over my list again. I watched the episode, or listened to the episode, sorry. And, it was a tough call. And I thought shooting guards, would be a lot easier. In retrospect, if you look at it, it's like there's the top two guys, there's two guys who are fighting for the spot, and then the 5 through 10 spot is kind of jumbled up, and it's kind of preference at that point. There's a few guys who didn't make the list who I think honestly probably could be interchangeable with my number 10, maybe interchangeable with my number 9, but I didn't realize how actually close 5 through 12 actually were. So, I mean, the differences between 5 through 12, which we're only doing top 10, I'm saying 12 because I have two guys who, on my honorable mentions here, that just barely missed out. And that's why I'm saying 5 through 12. So I think 5 through 12 are actually a lot closer than it actually seems. 5 through 12 is actually, I had a lot of trouble here. But we can get straight into it. Actually, before we get into it, I have started posting the episodes on YouTube. It is just audio, still on YouTube, but it is on YouTube. It is at @the_Wildcast. If you search up Wildcast NBA basketball, you'll find it there. So if you don't want to listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can look it up on YouTube, and they will be there. It's just audio. But it's just another platform to put out there. So that happens. That happened. That happened. But yeah, we can get straight into it. The first honorable mention that I thought of was Zach LaVine. When I thought about top 10 shooting guards, he was honestly the first name that came to my mind. And I was like, he's definitely top 10. He's up there. I don't know how many other names I can think that are better than Zach LaVine. But I looked at it, and there is a lot of good people who are considered a shooting guard. And I know a lot of people even consider Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a shooting guard. He's not on my list because I put him in the point guard list. Zach LaVine had a really good season, 24, 4, and 4. It's super good numbers. It's really good numbers. But you look at the Bulls, they were very disappointing. He also kind of just got overshadowed by DeRozan all season. Like, I felt like the entire season we didn't really hear much of Zach LaVine. It was the Bulls were playing kind of mid, and DeMar DeRozan was getting them their wins. I really wouldn't be surprised if they split this three-player core up, and I know Vucevic went in an interview and said that it's probably the last season for those three. But I wouldn't be surprised if they split those three up. But it was a good season for Zach LaVine. He played 77 games, which is a lot of games if you look at it compared to all these other players. Another guy that is on the honorable mentions that I think him and Zach LaVine could contend for this 10 spot. And the other guy was Tyler Hero. 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. The Heat obviously were the A seed in the Eastern Conference. They did make it to the finals, but they didn't do it with Tyler Hero. He got hurt in game 1 and didn't play the rest of the playoffs. But the Heat were the 13th team in the league. They didn't play bad. Tyler Hero didn't play bad. He played very good, actually. Let me not say that because he's debating. He's on the line for me for top 10. So let me not say that he didn't play bad. He played good. He had a great season. I think next year, if Tyler Hero can stay healthy, he will be in this top 10. And I don't think that's a question. But the guy I did put in the 10 spot, now I had to, and I think the only reason that I did was because I looked at these three, and I thought this guy is, I think, the best player out of all of them. And it's Bradley Beal. 23 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Not as good as numbers as Zach. Probably better numbers than Tyler. The Wizards obviously did worse than both teams, but I feel like Bradley Beal had the efficiency edge, 50% from the field. as a guard is very impressive. 84% from the free throw line, he cashes them in. 36% from three. And when you're on one of the worst teams in the league, it's impressive to put up that efficient of numbers, right? Because he's the best player on the Wizards. The Wizards are not good. It's him and Kuzma that are just chucking up shots all game. And the fact that he's hitting 50% of them is very impressive, especially from the guard spot. So I think the efficiency is what won me over here. Even though he only played 50 games, he didn't really want to play the whole season. I don't think I would, if I'm being honest. I mean, they were losing all their games no matter what he did. But, yeah, I think Beal deserves that 10 spot for me personally. And, again, 9 through 12 here is, I think, all could be interchangeable. It's just my preference, and I think number 9 is where I had DeJounte Murray, and he's there strictly because of how well he played defense. The stats speak for themselves. 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He had a great season statistics-wise, but the defense that DeJounte Murray brought to that Hawks team was it was very important for them. They were 17th team in the league, 41-41. I don't remember how I don't think they didn't do well in the playoffs. Did they even make the playoffs? They got bounced in the play-in, I think, didn't they? I think they got bounced in the play-in. But regardless, he played 74 games, which is a lot in today's NBA. Good efficiency for DeJounte Murray-wise. I mean, he's not the best shooter, but shooting 34% from three, I believe, is actually a career high for him. Let me check here in 1 second. He shot 39% from three his rookie season, but he attempted not even one per game. He attempted five threes a game this season. And shooting 34% on 5 attempts per game for DeJounte Murray, I think is very good. But yeah, overall, I think he deserves this spot over these other guys because of the overall talent that he is, the two-way, the efficiency that he improved. And yeah, it's just a great season for him. And number 8 is where I kind of looked at it and was like, is this real? Do I have to put him here? And I didn't, because the numbers on paper don't look as good as DeJounte. But the eye test, when I watched these two guys play, Tyrese Maxey, my number 8, I think was better last season than DeJounte Murray. 20 points per game. It was a quiet 20 points per game on a team with Joel Embiid and James Harden, who guys that also just have the ball in their hands at all time because they have to get theirs. 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Again, from the 2 spot, that's good numbers for Tyrese Maxey. 48% from the field, 43% from 3. A great improvement. 6 attempts a game, the best of his career so far, and obviously it's his 3rd season. Honestly, Tyrese Maxey impressed me this season, and part of me is kind of hoping that James Harden does leave this team because I want to see Tyrese Maxey flourish by himself. I think he can be great. If they trade James Harden away and they get a few serviceable players that are on the same level as Tyrese Maxey or something like that, I don't know, but I think Tyrese Maxey can really flourish, and I think he would play the point guard, obviously, if James left. And I have real high hopes for him, and I think next season is going to be a real breakout year if James leaves. Maybe even if James stays and he just plays like crap, because we know that's what James Harden does when he doesn't want to be somewhere. He just puts on the fat suit and plays like crap. But Tyrese Maxey, great efficiency, great numbers. He played 60 games. The Sixers were 3rd in the league overall at 54-28, which the 3rd best team in the league. He's the number 3 guy. And honestly, James Harden is probably the most ball-dominant player in the league. Let's be honest. Joel Embiid also was averaging an absurd amount of numbers. He won MVP, so obviously he's got to average a certain amount of numbers. And Tyrese Maxey just came in here with a quiet 20. Just great efficiency from 3. I think he well deserved this 8 spot, and I think he can squeak up there. He can get up there for next year's ranking. I'm excited to see what he brings next season. Which moves us on to number 7, Klay Thompson. Now, I was debating. Klay was hard for me. I'll say that because obviously his numbers really don't look that well. Let's be honest. 22 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. His efficiency was down from recent years. It's a low efficiency year for Klay Thompson. But I have to refer to the eye test on this one, right? When I watched Klay Thompson, it was very effective basketball. And of course it's the Warriors, right? So they're just going to play good-looking basketball overall. But they were 11th in the league, right? Klay Thompson just played a very huge part of it. He had a very good season. And I think that's where it's hard for me because the eye test for Klay Thompson doesn't fail. When I'm watching Klay Thompson, he looks like a great shooting guard. He looks like a great player. He looks like he's a top player on the floor every time he's out there. And personally, that's what won him over for me. He played a lot of minutes this year. He had a great year. 69 games for him was very impressive to see. I didn't know how long he would make it. But yeah, I really like this year from Klay Thompson, and I think he earned this spot. And I think we'll see him next year. If he stays healthy again, his efficiency will go back up. His scoring will go back up, and we'll see him climb back up in these rankings. At number 6 was another hard one for me because this guy kind of flew under the radar, right? Their team played well. He was kind of quiet on the numbers. The playoffs, he performed really well. It's Desmond Bane, right? Desmond Bane's at my number 6 spot. And again, he played 58 games, which is what really was struggling for me to put him above a lot of these guys. Because 58 games, he just really wasn't there, let's be honest. But when he was there, 21 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a great defender. The Memphis Grizzlies were the 6th best team in all of basketball last season. And, of course, we all know Ja. He got suspended how many times, missed how many games. Desmond Bane stepped up, especially in the playoffs. It was impressive to watch. Desmond Bane was there. If we go to his playoff numbers here, he was averaging 23 points, 3 assists, 6 rebounds in the playoffs on crazy efficiency for him. He was putting up shots. He was carrying the team, putting on his back. 38 minutes per game in the playoffs. Let's not skip over that, right? 38 minutes per game is a lot of minutes. But the reason why Desmond Bane won this spot for me was because he stepped up when Ja wasn't there. And he did it last season too. And honestly, he deserves to be high up on this list. He flew under the radar. The numbers aren't impressive. The team's success is impressive. And the team's success without your star player is what won me over. Number 5. It was tough to put this guy here, right? Because obviously, if you are an outside fan who doesn't avidly watch basketball every single day, you'd think, what the heck is this guy even doing in a top 10 video? But it's James Harden, okay? The numbers were there. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists. He played spectacular numbers-wise. But, again, it's just 58 games played. He wasn't really there. And he wasn't really there mentally all season. That's the drawback to having James Harden in your team. He's such a good player. And it's tough to keep him happy. His efficiency was the best it's ever been since, what is that, his 3rd year in the league? 38% from 3, 44% from the field. That's great efficiency for James Harden standards. And he really had a good season if you look at the numbers, and that's why he is so high for me. He's such a good player. Everybody knows how good James Harden can be. The numbers speak for themselves. The team's success is speaking for itself as well. But when I sat down to make a list, I looked at all the names, and I looked at James Harden, and I'm not going to lie to you, I instantly put James Harden at 3. So because I was thinking that I don't think there's that many people who are better than James Harden. And I started reading more and more of the names, and I'm like, wait, this guy is better. This guy's better. He ended up at 5 for me, which is 2 spots lower than I instantly put him at. But it's just these other guys played so much better than him. And James Harden, again, had a great season. Not his best, obviously, because we know what he can be at his best, and it's absolutely spectacular. But yes, these other dudes, that are above him, I just think played better. And I don't. That's more of an eye. Again, the eye test comes back around because when you watch James Harden, it's lazy basketball. There's no defense being played. They disappointed in the playoffs. I mean, it's James Harden and the 76ers, right? I'm going to look at his numbers in the playoffs quick because they were disappointing in the playoffs yet again. And it's really sad to see, and I hope he can find a new team. He played all 11 games in the playoffs. He averaged 20 points per game, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. So his numbers all went down in the playoffs. That's not what you want to see. It's not what you want to see at all. You don't want to see a guy's numbers go down in the playoffs. It's just crazy. But this is also another guy, by the way, where I didn't know whether to put him in point guard or shooting guard list. And when I looked him up on everything came up shooting guard. So I just said, screw it. I'll throw him in shooting guard. Even though I think he played majority point guard minutes this season. But it's my list. So I'm going to make it how I want it. And so James Harden's a shooting guard on my list. Which will bring us to the number 4 spot. And I'm going to be honest. I was very disappointed that I had to throw him here. Because I wanted to put this man top 3. I really wanted to. I love his game. He's been looking absolutely fantastic in FIBA. He's been carrying Team USA. Carried them to 4th place, but he carried them. His numbers were fantastic this season. I think by FIBA, you probably all know who I'm talking about. Number 4, I put Anthony Edwards. The Minnesota Timberwolves were 15th in the league. And everybody that I have above him on this list, they had better team success. And I think that's what won it for me, was the team success. Anthony Edwards had great numbers, 25 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He improved on his shooting, 36% from 3, 46% from field goal percent, 46% from the field, sorry. Those are all career highs for him. And I mean, he was the success for the Minnesota Timberwolves this season. Of course, after D'Angelo Russell left, but we won't talk about that. But he was a success for the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? A team that was on the outside looked like they were in complete turmoil. I mean, their blockbuster trade that they made is failing. But the bright spot is this guy right here, and he finds himself in the number 4 spot. I mean, he had his first All-Star appearance. It was a real great season for Anthony Edwards. 79 games played. Let's not skip over that, too. I liked his season. I really wanted to see him in the top 3, but you just can't argue with these 3 other guys. I didn't realize how separated they were. Now, I'm just going off numbers-wise, but number 3, now we're getting into the top 3. Top 3 time. Clap it up. Top 3 time. Number 3, Jaylen Brown. And this hurts me as a Lakers fan to put a Celtic in the top 3, but it is. He's absolutely fantastic this last season. 26 points per game, 7 boards, 3 assists. And on top of all that, the Celtics were the second best team in the league. Second best team in the league standings-wise, 57-25. And it was all due to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Those 2 guys carried this entire load. I'm very interested in how next season will look with Kristaps Porzingis in the mix. I'm expecting both of their numbers to go down since Porzingis is a very demanding player as well. But Jaylen Brown, he had a very good season shooting-wise, career high in field goal percentage. It wasn't the best season for him, 3-point shooting-wise, but he had the highest attempts he's ever had, so at least he's getting them up there. It was a good season for him. And next season is going to be a very interesting season for him, I think, because he just got this $300 million contract, of course. The 2 guys above him, I think we all know who's the next 2 names. He has to find a way to insert himself into this top 2 conversation because as good as he played this season, as good as he was, as good as the team was, I don't think that there's a world where he goes into this top 2 conversation. I just think that there's too much of a jump for him. But he can certainly make the jump. I mean, if he gets this scoring up, if he gets the rebound, if he gets all his stats up, he has a better shooting year. He's just got to work on his 3-point shot a little. And the huge thing, of course, that brings him down is his handles. You got to be able to at least dribble the ball if you're a guard, right? Even if you're a two guard, you force Jaylen Brown left and he falls apart. He can't dribble with his left hand. It's what is separating him from this top two conversation entirely. He just has to work on his handles, get some tighter handles, because he's all over the place when he dribbles. It's sometimes frustrating to watch. It really is. But it's a few things that he's got to work on, but I think he can propel himself into this top two conversation. He has the ability to do it. And next season is going to be a huge one because he's got to prove that he's worth this $300 million, and he's got to prove to the Celtics organization that he is worth keeping. Which brings us to number 2 on our list, Mr. Donovan Mitchell, 70 points himself. It was a fantastic season for him, really. The Cavs disappointed in the playoffs. They did not disappoint in the regular season. They were 5th in the league. But Donovan Mitchell was absolutely crazy this season. He was very, very impressive. Career high in field goal percentage by a big margin. Not a career high in three-point. Actually, he did tie his career high in three-point percentage. I take that back. He had the most attempts, 9 attempts a game. It was just a very good season for him. 28 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and he scored the ball every single night. It was crazy. 71 points, 28 per game. And honestly, next season, this team needs to come in with the mentality of we are going to do our best to just make the playoffs, and then we are going to turn it up once we get there. Because if you look at the playoff numbers, they went down for Donovan Mitchell. They did. He went to 23 points per game, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. They went down when you got to the playoffs. But this Cavs team just disappointed once they got there. It was very disappointing from them. They lost to the Knicks in the first round in 5 games. I think next season is going to be a very important one for Donovan Mitchell and for the Cavs. But I seriously think that last season, the number 1 spot was very, very arguable for Donovan Mitchell. And he got better this season. I will say that. He did get better, right? But the thing that let me down was his playoff performance. And I got turned off from him. He was there for me. He was there. He was right at the top. And then the playoffs hit, and they just let everyone down. This team was, on paper, this looks like one of the best teams in the league, honestly. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro just needs to work on a couple more things, and he can be a perfect role player in this team. Evan Mobley, who's going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate next season. Jared Allen, who is just a monster everywhere. It's a great team on paper, right? And the fact that Donovan Mitchell is averaging almost 30 points on this team is also another incredible thing. It's the playoff success that has it for me here. And I think that next season, if the Cavs want to have a drive in the playoffs and they go and have some success, make a conference finals, make the finals even, that Donovan Mitchell will have no problem being in an argument for that 1 spot. But the 1 spot is, I think, and it's impressive because I think he had a better season last season. I think he went down since last season, but he still deserves this 1 spot. And it's incredible to me because he's just the best shooting guard in the league, and I don't think there's really a debate for it. But Devin Booker is who I put number 1. 28 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 49% from the field, 35% from 3. And again, I think he had a better season last season. It's just a fact of it, and I think it's mostly because of Kevin Durant that his numbers in the second half kind of went down. But if you look at the playoff numbers for him, 33 points per game, 7 assists, and 5 boards. Incredible numbers from Devin Booker. It's honestly very, very impressive. And that is why it's clear to me. It's clear to me why he is over Donovan Mitchell. And it is because of this playoff numbers, and it's because of the playoff success. It's really a good race, and Devin Booker has deserved this 1 spot. I think that everybody should have Devin Booker as their 1 spot. I don't think that anybody's really competing with him if we're talking about last season. But yes, if we go into next season and Donovan Mitchell steps up the playoff performance, and Devin Booker, I don't even know if that will help, honestly, because Devin Booker averaging 33 points per game in the playoffs is just darn right impressive, let alone averaging 28 points per game while Kevin Durant is your teammate. It's very impressive play by him. The eye test does not fail either. It seems like every time he puts up a shot, it goes in when you're watching him. I don't understand it. It says he shoots 49%, but when you watch him, it seems like he's shooting 100. It's crazy. But really, what is there more to say about Devin Booker? I think he's the best shooting guard in the league, hands down. And, yeah, that's going to be the top 10 list for the Wildcast here. We go over it again. Number 10, Bradley Beal. Number 9, DeJounte Murray. Number 8, Tyrese Maxey. Number 7, Klay Thompson. Number 6, Desmond Bane. Number 5, James Harden. Number 4, Anthony Edwards. Number 3, Jaylen Brown. Number 2, Donovan Mitchell. And number 1, Devin Booker. Yeah, that'll be it for this episode. As I said before at the beginning, check us out on YouTube if you don't want to listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Otherwise, Spotify or Apple Podcasts, listen up. I think I'm going to try to do every Friday uploads. I know it's been a while since the last episode. I did a Tuesday upload last week and now a Friday episode. So it almost feels like a week, 2 weeks that I've uploaded last. But I'm going to start doing every Friday, and I think I'm going to stick to that, and I'm going to be able to stick to that. And next week we got small forwards. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Thank you for listening, and peace.